The true story of the three little pigs. Everybody knows the true story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story, because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into somebody's house, so I called, little pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. Then, when my nose started to itch, I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? The whole darn straw house fell down, and right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house of sticks. I felt the bell, or I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin." I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for dear old Granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what that rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, wolf. Don't bother me again." Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for dear, sweet old Granny's birthday. What a pig! I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake, when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, "And your old Granny can sit on a pin!" Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course I was trying to break down the pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a really big scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the story with all of that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it, the real story. I was framed. Maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar? That was the true story of the 3 Little Pigs by A. Wolf. Now here's your assignment. You need to answer the questions on your own piece of paper, and you may need to pause this presentation to give yourself time to answer the questions. Now this telling of the classic 3 Little Pigs story was told from a unique perspective, the perspective of the wolf, who is typically portrayed as the villain. In this version, the wolf is the victim of the 3 Little Pigs. Question number 1. Describe the wolf's attitude towards the 3 Little Pigs as expressed in this version of the story. Question number 2. Describe the wolf's experiences. Consider his actions and how he was treated. Question number 3. Describe any prejudices the wolf made about his neighbors, the pigs. Question number 4. Describe the feelings of the wolf throughout the narrative. You will now choose a story or event which could be seen from a number of different points of view. In class, you will write 2 different versions of the same story. Each version should present a unique speaker's point of view. One of your speakers may be told from the point of view of an inanimate or non-living object. Write the title of the story or event on your piece of paper now. You will be completing a brainstorm to help you prepare for class. So what we will be doing in class is writing 2 versions of the same story. You can choose a fairy tale, you can retell a movie or a favorite TV show if you would like, just a story that you're familiar with. You'll tell the story from the main character's point of view, and then you'll choose another character or an inanimate object, and you'll tell the story again from the additional point of view. So you need to be prepared to do this in class when we come back. Make sure that you write down the title of the story you plan on working with right now on your paper, and then let's move on to the next step. Now you need to complete your brainstorm. And this brainstorm will be due at the beginning of class on the day that this assignment's been assigned. So for number 1, list the name of the event or the story. Then you may bullet point or do a cluster chart to list all possible points of view which could be used to tell the story. So for the example of the 3 Little Pigs, I went ahead and did a bubble chart here, cluster chart. So in the center I have the title of the story, 3 Little Pigs. This story could be told from the point of view of the pigs, the wolf, the brick house if I wanted to choose the inanimate object. It could be told from the point of view of the pig's therapist or from the hair on the pig's chin. Get creative with it. So on your piece of paper, list as many perspectives as you possibly can, as many point of views that your story could be told from, and that's what we will be working with when we come back to class. Be creative. Make sure you have the 4 questions and the brainstorm for your chosen story or event completed the day that your assignment was given.